Level up your LA Kings experience with the new Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access. Enjoy great seats to the game along with premier dining inside the Lexus Club with all-you-can-eat food and non-alcoholic beverages. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings item and parking with your purchase. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn rewards on each purchase from the only ticket company that rewards you for buying. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings.
You're listening to an LA Kings podcast. For more episodes of this and every other Kings program, visit lakings.com/podcast.
Serlin now down the wing, got a man with them. That's Carabella back to Serlin, and save made by George.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings.
Roger floats it to the net, redirect, and a save made from George. The strongest save of the game.
Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
Welcome back, Kings fans. I am Jesse Cohen. This is All the Kings Men. Carter George is a goaltender selected by your LA Kings with the 57th overall pick in the second round of the 2024 NHL Entry Draft. George sat down with me for almost half an hour during development camp last week, but before we bring you that conversation, I'm going to play you some excerpts from Mark Yannetti's conversation with the media immediately following the draft in Las Vegas. I selected 3 segments where he specifically talks about George, his potential future, and why the Kings made the choice after moving down in the first round to acquire the pick used to select him. If you want to skip all that and just jump to my conversation with Carter, you can hop ahead to about the 10-minute mark. I really like this kid, you guys. I think you're going to as well. Hope you enjoy the conversation.
If you just go to recent history, if you look at last year's draft, I think the first goalie went at 39, and then you see 3 or 4 goalies go. I think usually what happens, you see a goalie go, and that starts at usually 3 guys will go in the next 10 to 12. Then you might have a teeny lull, and then 1 or 2 more guys will go. So we anticipated the goalies going around 39 to 40. One of our second round movement plans originally was to move into 45 if we wanted a goalie. And when we watched it start to develop, the first thing that did it messed with our heads more than our model. We anticipated size being a premium in the goal, and we anticipated 2 size-based goalies to be the first 2 going. And when Nabokov went, that gave us a little bit of a fright because one of the goalies we were targeting obviously was George, and it made us a little bit more anxious or motivated to move up to that spot. But we had done the work, and it didn't really make sense because all our models said that one of those 2 guys, and they're in the same tier, one of those 2 guys would still be there at 57. So we played around with it, let emotion get the best of us for 6 to 7 minutes, and then the work that we had done slowly filtered back in. The emotion went out of it. We were nervous, I'm not going to lie, but we also had 2 other players in that tier too. So if we didn't get the goal, we still had a fairly high rate of confidence that they would go. And, whether it's, I don't know, we were very prepared, so I don't consider it luck. I think consider it fortune. Well, one of the things we liked is, the first thing you watch about him, he's very technically sound. His positional element, his save execution, his depth in the net. It's very, it's like calculated almost. He's very cerebral in terms of, he's precise when he hits his marks. He's, I guess we were saying we're talking about the big goalies, and everybody wants big goalies and stuff. And it's funny, like, it's more about presentation. Like, you can be a big goalie and present small, and you can be, as I said, he's 6'1", so I don't consider him small, but I guess the NHL does now. So, he presents bigger than 6'1", just through his positioning and his angles and his depth in the net. Then you go into those are the easy things to evaluate. You don't even need to be a scout. You can go watch the game and see where he is. I mean, I'm not doing anything there that anyone here couldn't do. But then you start watching his, now you go to the secondary things that differentiate. Like, there's a lot of guys as athletic as Quick was, and no one realizes how well Quick read the play. There's a reason Hasek could recover from certain positions. It's because he knew where the players were and the puck was. So now you look at Carter and the secondary things where you really start breaking it down. And the way he read the play, if you're talking a forward or a D, hockey IQ, anticipation, his angles now would change sometimes in regards to danger. He's very aware of danger on the, on his blind side. You see the NHL now with the layered attacks and the defensemen and the forwards coming in multi-layers. A lot of guys would jump out and be aggressive and attack, but he would know, like you're watching him on film, geez, why didn't he attack that guy? And then all of a sudden you see that third layer coming in. So that's a more innate thing that, it's like the guys can address some things, but that's a more innate thing you can't. So you got that. And then, we were at games where he was 40 shots. Like Billy and I went to a game with Chris Byrne and Ron Payette, and I think he had 40 shots, which is great because you can have 40 shots from the outside. I think we counted 27 grade A scoring chances. And it was against Saginaw, actually. Overtime, they lost in a shootout, I believe. So he's playing the top team in Canada. He's facing grade A scoring chances. And, the single reason the game ended 4-4 in regulation is because he willed them to win. Finally, you go to Canada, and now this is where the it factors of goalies come. Not to burst the bubble of Canadian fans, they weren't the best team there. They weren't. The U.S. was the best team, and when they were fortunate enough to get that penalty call in the end, they could have been down 6 or 7-2 by that point. The fact that they weren't is because he kept them in the game, and they won't want to hear this. He kept them into a game just to even get them to the gold medal game. So he won, in my opinion, 2 games for them. And a goalie who can win games, it factor, whatever, that's the final thing for us. He checked all the boxes except being 6'3". So Carter's path, it's obviously 2 years. And for me, the goalies, they're getting better at getting there earlier. But it's a 2-year in Owen Sound. It's a 1 year. It'll be a little different. It's hard to predict. I'm not fence sitting, just to give you some context. Hampton's going to come out. I think Hampton's going to come out 1 year later than Carter's going to come out, just because he's a little bit younger in terms of physical development, a little bit younger in terms of the level he played. The jump from high school to just the USHL is huge. Now to college, I think it's going to take Hampton 3 college years. If we do what's best for him, I think it's going to take Carter 2 junior years. So he'll come out 1 year earlier. So he'll probably, it'll be similar to maybe a Quick Bernier situation where he comes in and he's the starter, and then Hampton will come in. He'll be the backup, then the starter, and then Hampton will come in. So I think that George is probably a 30 game to, depending who's there, he's a 30 game guy in the AHL year 3, and then he's a starter. So he's a 50, it'll be cool having 2 young guys there at the same time. So he'll be a starter that probably gets 50, maybe 55 games second year in the American League. And then I think he's ready for the A. The only difference is he's as mature a kid as I've seen. Physically, the testing in the combine and the stuff he showed a maturity and a body control that you don't really see at that age. So if a guy was going to develop quicker, I would say in the physical sense, it would be him. And in terms of his mental approach, and, he's kind of been the guy, so he's already had that. So he might be a guy I usually like to be conservative. He could be a little bit further ahead than I gave you.
Joining me now, LA Kings second round selection in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft, Carter George. How are you doing today, Carter?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Listen, I'm going to get this right out of the way. Hockey nicknames are an odd thing. You've got 2 first names. What do you go by?
Lots of people call me Georgie, or sometimes I'll get the Curious George. But
Curious George, I like that.
Yeah, those are kind of the 2 that get to me.
But not Carts.
My Instagram, it's Cars Gold. So
right.
My buddies back home will call me that a little bit, but I don't usually get Carts too much.
So we're standing around in Vegas. We're waiting for you to get to the podium. After you've been selected, you're going through what's referred to as the car wash by some people. And one of the OHL guys taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, you want a good story about Carter George?" And I go, "Sure, absolutely." He says his mom wanted to name him Scotty after a curling tournament.
Yeah.
So now I have to ask you if that's true.
That is true, I think. So she wanted to name me Scotty, named after the Scotty Tournament of Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think once I got named Carter, I think a lot of people thought I was named after another curler that she used to curl against.
So the background here being that your mother was a
professional
Yeah.
curler. Yeah.
So how did you curl growing up?
No, I never did. A little bit when I was like really young, my mom would take me and my sister out on the ice and spin us around on the rocks because we thought that was fun. But I never really got to try the sport.
Not super into it.
Nah, I kind of got into it because it's always on in our house, and anytime the Scotties or Briars on or something like that, we're always watching it. So I kind of got into it a little bit and like watching it. And once I kind of understood the game about like in turn, out turn draws and all that, and understood like the techniques to it, I kind of wanted to go try and see like how I do with it, but I never got the opportunity to.
So based on the reaction to your name being called at the draft, I feel like the Georges run deep.
Yeah.
And, you're from Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
The Scotty Tournament of Hearts is being played in Thunder Bay in 2025. Are you guys like, is it a huge deal in the George family?
So it was there. I want to say it was there over COVID too. I don't exactly remember the year, but we're not in Thunder Bay anymore. We moved down south, but right. Unfortunately we can't make it to those, but we'll definitely be watching it on TV.
So on the telecast, it mentioned that you were a Kings fan.
Yeah.
And obviously the direct comparison to Jonathan Quick. But how do you wind up being a Kings fan?
So it was mainly Jeff Carter, actually. I always loved him as a kid because he had the same name as me. Sure. So I'm like, I like him, right? And he got traded here and they won the cup in 2012. So I'm like, I really like this team. Like, kind of hopped on the bandwagon, I guess you could say. And so I started watching them a lot more and following them a lot more closely. And I loved watching Quick making all those big saves and being athletic in the net. I loved watching him. So once I kind of started watching the Kings, I was like, okay, this is going to be my team. And I wanted my room to be all LA Kings. So I made my parents redo my whole room and everything. And yeah.
So you're an actual factual like LA Kings fan. This isn't just there was one player. Like,
no, it was like I was a Kings fan growing up like my whole life pretty much.
So then when Andrzej Kopitar gets in touch with you on draft day,
that was pretty special to me.
Is that the only member of the team you've spoken to so far? Or?
So far, yes. Yeah.
How about the other guys at camp? We talked briefly in Vegas about Liam Greentree.
Yeah.
But now we're halfway through day 2 of Dev Camp. Are you developing relationships, getting to know the other guys?
Yeah. Obviously you meet a lot of new guys here and everyone's here for a reason. So you kind of want to learn a lot from those guys. And I've talked to a lot of new guys and I've seen a lot of familiar faces from around the OHL and stuff like that. And I even played with Caleb Lawrence, so that was pretty cool to connect with him again. And I definitely enjoy it because you definitely learn how to meet new people and learn how to put yourself out there and not be so nervous about it. And it's nice kind of having the locker room environment because you can just talk whatever you want.
It's development camp. It's not training camp. There's nothing on the line. You guys are just here to, learn the system, get to know the building, the staff and everything. And yet, as a goaltender, you have a different relationship to other players that play your position. And you talked about Jonathan Quick. Mark Yannetti talked to the media after the draft was done about all the selections. And he went on at pretty extended length about you and Hampton Slakinski.
Yeah.
Drafted a year apart. Both have impressive resumes to your name so far. So, now you're here in development camp with Hampton Slakinski. Are you guys, how does that, what's your approach to that?
Yeah. We've been really good to each other. Obviously we have that friendly competitive relationship, right? Like we're there to support each other. We're always there for each other and, we're there to make each other better and push each other. And, obviously it'll get competitive and sometimes on the ice and, when you're off the ice, it's just kind of being friends. And he's been really good to me so far in development camp. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for both of us.
How many times has Dale DeGray mentioned to you that he played for the LA Kings?
A lot. Lots of stories when he'll bring up a quote or something. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, Gretzky told me that one, so you guys should listen to that."
Now, when you go back, will that be? Are you going to play up that LA Kings card now?
Oh, yeah.
A quote. So I was just trying to find out as much about Carter George as I could that the internet would give me. And I stumbled onto this quote. It was about the run you guys went on, I want to say in the It was either Hlinka Gretzky or the World Juniors. But the quote was, Carter George is worth the price of admission alone. Any thoughts on the entertainment side of your game?
Yeah, obviously to hear that, that's pretty cool. And I'm glad people think like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just try and go out there and play my game and do everything I can to help my team win. And I'm just out there to give my team the best chance of winning, not about getting shutouts. It's about stopping pucks for my team in big moments and when they need it.
Because the Kings have had players like Jeff Carter and Drew Doughty and Andrei Kopitar and Dustin Brown, Jonathan Quick, guys that have had international experience, we know how important it is for players to get to put on their nation's jersey. So you've got 2 gold medals already to your name playing for Team Canada as the starter. You rooted for the Kings growing up. What's a bigger thrill, throwing on a Kings jersey or throwing on a Team Canada jersey? And will you have full permission to break Kings fans' feelings here? Yeah,
I think they're both pretty cool. I mean, obviously it was pretty cool to put the Kings jersey on since I was a fan, my whole life. So I thought that was pretty cool. But you don't get to represent your country too much, so I always think that's a huge honor to be able to throw on the Maple Leaf, and I think that was probably more of a cool experience and more of an honor.
I'm going to read another scouting quote here. Serving as the team's starting goaltender, he played a pivotal role in the team's deep run to the event final. He was named Canada's best player in 3 of its 7 games, including the gold medal game. He was praised as, quote, the difference for the team in both the semifinal against Sweden and against the USA in the final where Canada won the gold medal. In recognition of his play, George was given the Best Goaltender Award by the IIHF Directorate and named to the tournament's media all-star team. That's a lot of high praise at a high, attention event, right? People are watching, people are looking for stuff. Do you enjoy the kind of pressure that sort of praise brings?
Yeah, obviously. You try not to look into that stuff too much. Obviously, they're cool things to get, but at the end of the day, you're more so looking to chase a gold medal as opposed to those individual awards. And obviously, it does put a little bit of a target on your back, I'd say. And I kind of like that. I like when people are pushing me to get better and always chasing me, because it just motivates me to get even better and even push myself a lot more to elevate my game.
Goaltending, when it comes to coaching and goaltenders in a game, there's not a lot of opportunity for a coach to do anything. You pick your starter, throw him in net, and then that's sort of it. If a game goes south on you and pucks are going past you, are you the type of goaltender that wants to get pulled before it gets out of control, or do you want to finish the game no matter what the final score is?
I want to finish the game no matter what. I know I had a couple games this year where I had like a D-man would come up to me and was like, hey, coach wants to know if you want out. And I told him no every time, because I want to be able to finish games.
Do you think, there's no way for you to know this, but do you think coaches appreciate that, or do they want a goalie who will protect his numbers or stress level or whatever it is that would cause a goalie to want to come out?
No, I think they do appreciate it, because it kind of shows character that they want to bounce back from that, and they want to still compete and battle through no matter what the score is, or no matter how many goals you let in, they still want to compete and battle. And I think that's huge, definitely, to finish off games like that.
I want to get a little bit in the weeds on goaltending, because I am one of those people who previously was of the opinion that goaltending is voodoo. But I was, like I said, trying to find Carter George information online, and I found this clip on YouTube, and I'm going to play it for you. It's relatively short, but it's the commentary and then the guy who made the video's thoughts afterwards. I hope the mics pick this up. I'm going to play it here.
Over 50% of the tournament as Max Plant gets it back. Plant, space, across, one-timer, and there's that shot. Cole Eiserman, what a save, Carter George.
Right across, Plant sets it up beautifully, but as George comes across, he's upright, so there's no chance for that puck to get into the upper part of the net.
I love this save. And it actually blew my mind when I first saw it, because it's been so long since I've seen a young goalie come across to their left, to their glove side, without sticking their glove way out in front of them and trying to catch everything. This is what I want to see more of. Get your body in position. Make the save look easy.
The name of the video was Makes Difficult Saves Look Easy.
Yeah.
And as a hockey fan, one of the things that sort of drove me crazy over the years was the phrase economy of motion or ice water in his veins. They talk about goalies who are almost robotic, and yet the end result is if you play like that, you're going to make a ton more saves. That save, first of all, do you remember that save?
Yeah, I remember that one pretty clearly.
Okay. And then was that analysis about remaining upright as you move to your left? Is that something that you instinctively do, or was that something you had to work into your game?
So it's actually kind of funny because I got scored on a couple times on those plays, and I was kind of going in this place and throwing my glove up there and try and catch them. I wasn't staying upright like that was in the video. And before the gold medal game, the night before, I called my dad, and my dad's like, Yzerman's one-timer, he's going high every time, you better stay up or else you're going to get scored on. And sure enough, I don't know, it just the talking to him and able to get in my head, the thought went into my head. So then once I got into the game, it was just kind of an instinct. And I kind of got to give credit to him for doing that, because otherwise I was in the back of the net if he didn't talk to me the night before. And but I think that was just kind of huge, especially with Yzerman. I mean, the amount of one-timers he takes and the amount of shots he gets off from that spot, you have to be in an upright position, because he's a goal scorer and he can put the puck behind you real quick if you're out of position. So I definitely think that was a huge thing with staying upright. And later in the game, I didn't, and he scored on me. So I kind of learned my lesson.
Do we need to bring your dad around wherever you go to back up goalie coach?
Yeah. He was my goalie coach growing up. So sometimes we'll still have convos about all that stuff, and it's kind of nice to have that, because you kind of hear it from someone in your own life. So.
We talked to Caleb Lawrence earlier this year, and he ran down the list of different coaches he's had. We talked to Ryan Conmey yesterday, and he mentioned that he's been working with a goalie coach to sort of give him a different perspective on, being a forward.
Right.
How many coaches do you work with? How many different approaches have you tried to working on your craft?
Yeah, I think I've had a lot over the years. Right now, I'll have one up in Owen Sound, and then one in my off season, and then I work with a mental coach all year round, and I think that definitely helps me out a lot. And then obviously you get your coaches, like coaches in Owen Sound, who help you out when you have questions about like what shooters see in certain situations. Like I know I definitely ask them a lot of questions about that, especially players too on our team. Like I'll ask them like what you see on these plays and stuff like that. And it's all about kind of just trying to get an edge to set yourself up for more success.
I won't ask you to reveal any state secrets, because I know we're very careful around LA about what we do and how we do things. But is there anything yet? It's only been a day and a half of Dev Camp, but has there been anything yet where you were exposed to it and you went, oh, wow, I've never thought about that before, or I never considered that approach or anything?
Yeah. I think there's 2, maybe 3 things that really stood out to me, and there's stuff I haven't heard of before, and it's kind of part of their system here. So definitely felt weird at first, but more repetition on doing them and applying them into my practices, it felt much better. And I actually like they explain the theory to you and explain the background behind the whys and all that, and it makes total sense. And I definitely trying to add that to my game, and definitely something I've been focusing on in the past couple of practices here.
So from a viewer standpoint, development camp can get kind of monotonous pretty quickly, because it's just you guys doing drills over and over and over again before the scrimmages take place. So I'm just sitting there trying to find something to sort of stand out. One of the reasons I was excited to come into camp this year was to watch the goaltenders, because it was going to be you and Slakinski and maybe an invitee. There's 7 goaltenders at camp this year.
Yeah.
How much actual ice time have you gotten in the last day and a half?
You still get lots of ice time though, because we goalie skates in the morning. They usually go with the forwards and the D after. So you're on the ice for 2.5 hours, almost 3. So you get lots of ice time, lots of reps here still. And I mean, there's a lot of high volume shooting. So it's kind of nice to get your little breaks here and there, so you're not completely tired.
Have they talked to you at all about what the goaltending rotation will be in the scrimmages?
Yeah, we just got that cleared up at lunch, and I'll be playing the first game.
All right. Well, I'll be here watching it. I want to talk a little bit about your game specifically. I was watching a replay of the draft because I was there, didn't get to watch the telecast. They had this stat package on you that, had you, I think, third in games played in the OHL, or wins maybe 11th in, I don't remember what the stat was, but that you were first overall in stretch passes. And
I did see that stat. Yeah.
Yeah. And puck handling was rated as one of your strengths. And a direct comparison made to Igor Shesterkin, who you yourself mentioned at the podium. So for a hockey fan of an older vintage like me, I think of Marty Brodeur as being the puck handling goaltender. At what age do you start working that into your game, to your repertoire?
It was the first year I became a goalie I started working on it. I think I was 7. And it's actually a funny story. My coach, Trevor Mikas, we had ABC lines, and he taught me how to play the puck, so then I could go mess around with the puck whenever the C line was on the ice. So that's kind of how I learned how to play the puck, and then since then I just mess around with it whenever I have time or free time, and always learning different ways to shoot a puck and trying to like elevate my knowledge with it and elevate my skills with it and try and separate myself from a normal goalie. And I definitely try stuff I see other goalies do in the NHL, or see stuff I see online somewhere. I definitely will try that with my stick. And I know a big thing was 2 years ago, when I was in St. Mary's. I wasn't playing very much, so whenever I was backing up and warm-ups, I'd go mess around with the puck, throw it up and try and hit the ceiling and try and catch it and try all these puck tricks. And I think it definitely helped my hand-eye a lot, and definitely helped the control with the puck whenever it's on my stick.
I apologize for not knowing the answer to this question, but has there been a goalie goal in your past?
I am 0 for 4 in my junior career, and I think I'm 0 for 6 in my entire career.
Will that stop you from trying?
No.
Love it. All right. The next question then is, this was scouting stuff I found. Athletic, quick moving laterally, battles, uses quickness to make desperation shots. That sounds like Jonathan Quick.
Right.
To me, if you read that and asked me which professional goalie we were talking about. But also good feet, fluid, fronts the shooter, rebound control ranges, especially from distance, and then the upright save we mentioned earlier. So, and you mentioned Carey Price.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick and Carey Price, at least to an idiot who doesn't know anything about goaltending, seem like not the same kind of goaltender.
No, they're completely different. I loved how Price played. I loved how calm he was in the net, and how his demeanor in the net, and he made a lot of big saves. The thing for me though is he's a pretty big guy, and I'm not quite that height, so a lot of stuff he'll play certain situations differently. So I couldn't fully watch him and model my game after him because of that. I was more similar to Quick's size, and I liked Quick's athleticism. I liked parts of his game that I really wanted to implement in my game. At a young age, he made a lot of those big saves. So when I was young, I was like, this is pretty cool how he makes these many saves, and I didn't really know how they were possible.
Jonathan Quick might have been one of my all-time favorite Kings. You won't know this, listeners will. I've been a Kings fan since, I don't know, the mid-'80s. Jonathan Quick had, and I mean this in the most respectful, positive way possible, he had a tiny bit of crazy psychopath in him.
Yeah.
Where if you went into his crease, I still can't believe that we haven't gotten a Jonathan Quick fight. Is there any of that in your game?
I try not to, but I know I have a couple times. Sometimes they'll pop up pretty quick, but I try and stay out of that as much as possible and try and just worry about the next shot.
I want to backtrack real quick to the passing issue, because I had this thought and it slipped away from me for a second. Has that changed the way that you communicate with your defensemen on the ice, knowing them, having to know that you're capable of finding them with a pass?
Yeah. At the start of the year, a couple of our breakouts were based off of me playing the puck, and we had certain systems where we'd force teams to dump the puck and get the puck in my hands, because it's kind of like a third D-man there. If someone's got to come at me, that leaves another guy open, right? So that was kind of a big thing too. And I know we work on it with our D back in Owen Sound. They what spots they have to go to when I have the puck, and we always have our different calls of where we different words that we use to tell me where to put puck when it's when I can't see or any of that. So they're definitely really good with me, and I try and make their lives easier, kind of. So they don't get hit too much when they're back there. It kind of makes it easier for them, and I definitely enjoy doing it. One of my favorite parts of the game.
This is putting the cart way before the horse, or the Carter way before the horse. You wear number 32. I'm assuming that's at least partially in honor of Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't wear number 32 at any place that you went, what number might you choose? Or have you even thought about it?
Yeah. So originally in Owen Sound, I wanted to be 72.
Why 72?
Bobrovsky, I like watching a lot of goalies, but
I mean, you should. That's good.
There was a time frame there where Quick got hurt. I think it was 2 years in a row or something like that, and that's when I really watched Bobrovsky, and I loved his game, and I thought 72 was such a unique number. So I wanted to be that number in Owen Sound, but we only go up to 40 because it's a older tradition. So I was like, all right, I'll go 32 and in honor of Quick, but. Knowing that I don't know if I'll be able to use that here, I'll probably transition to a 72 then.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing that someday. Again, apologies for not knowing. I don't remember the answer. I know you were asked, I think, on Saturday if you'd been to LA before. Had you been to LA before?
Yes, I have. I think it was 2018. I came here for a tournament, and it was actually at this practice facility too. It was a little tournament. We lost in the finals though, so. Not too great memories here.
So this was not planned to be in this line of questioning, but it seems to me like you've got a pretty deep memory of your games.
Yeah. When it comes to hockey, I have a pretty good memory of like all my games and all the goals I let in and stuff like that, or certain saves. Like I have a pretty good memory of that, or like which way guys shoot or how their tape job is.
I was sitting next to former Ontario Reign goalie Matt Villalta for a preseason game, I don't remember how many years ago. And it was a bunch of Kings prospects, and Villalta was at the end of the row, and there was preseason game at the Pond.
Yeah.
So there was like nobody there. And he had a piece of paper out, and I noticed him jotting down notes during the entire game. And I leaned over and I asked him, like, did they give you homework? Like, are you taking stats for the analytics team or something? Like, what are you doing? And he said, no, I'm just making notes about guys on the Ducks because I'm going to have to play a bunch of them. I want to know which way they shoot, what their tendencies are. I mean, just to do that level of homework and to have that sort of attention to detail really impressed me in the moment.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're that invested in the entire process?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the top guys are pretty easy to remember, like the top goal scorers. You kind of know what hand they shoot and what their tendencies are, but it's really once you go down the lineup knowing those guys and what they're going to do. And a lot of that comes from watching games like prior to that and watching pre-scouts and all that. And I definitely think that helps me out a lot. I'm not kind of the guy that jots them down on notes, but I'll definitely put them in a note in my brain for sure.
Well, you say that you won't jot them down in your notes, but you won the Bobby Smith Trophy, awarded annually to the OHL's Scholastic Player of the Year, and the Yvonne Tennant Memorial Award, presented to the league's top academic high school students. So, I mean, you're clearly a bright kid.
Yeah. At a young age, I was kind of taught the importance of school since both my grandparents were teachers. So it was always important to me, and school always came before hockey, and I knew that if my grades weren't up, that I wasn't allowed to play hockey. So that was definitely a little bit of extra motivation in the classroom to keep them up, so I was allowed to go play hockey.
Excellent. Well, listen, Carter George, I'm going to let you get back to your day because I want to watch you in the scrimmage later. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to LA. Congrats on getting drafted, and we hope to see number 72 sooner than later.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.